Hi guys. All right, it is math time. So I need you to get your math book out and turn to page 555. Page 555. So we're still reviewing. Math test is going to be tomorrow, Wednesday. Tomorrow will be your chapter 9 math test with fractions. Okay, so let's take a look at number 13. Ming needs 1/2 pint of red paint for an art project. He has 6 jars that have the following amounts of red paint in them. So here's his 6 jars. He has 2/3 of a pint, 1/4 of a pint, 4/6 of a pint, 3/4 of a pint, 3/8 of a pint, and 2/6 of a pint. So these are all his 6 jars. He wants to use only 1 jar of paint. Mark all of the jars of paint that Ming could use. So he could use any of these jars, okay, any of these 6 jars. We got to find out which ones he can use. There's more than one, okay? Now, in order to do that, we got to understand that he needs 1/2 pint of red paint. So his jars of paint out of these 6, they have to be greater than 1/2. So we have to look at each fraction and we have to be able to say that it is greater than 1/2. All right, so let's look at A. So we have 2/3. So if I have 2/3, can I say that 2/3 is greater than 1/2? Well, let's look. Are our numerators the same? Nope. Denominators? Nope. So we're going to need our fraction strips. So you need to get your half and your third, put them together. Now, if I say 2/3 is greater than 1/2, can I say that? Is that right? So there's 1/3, 2/3, and there's your line for 1/2. Is 2/3 greater than 1/2? Yes. So we could use the 2/3 pint. So color in A. Let's look at B, 1/4. Okay, so now we have to make sure that 1/4 is greater than 1/2. So is this sentence true? Let's look. Our numerators are the same, so we have to look at our denominators, right? So is fourths greater than halves? Well, remember, the more pieces, the smaller the piece. So fourths would not be greater than halves. So this is incorrect. So no for 1/4. So do not color in 1/4 because that is not greater than 1/2. All right, let's look at C, 4/6. 4/6. Can I say 4/6 is greater than 1/2? Well, are our numerators the same? Nope. Denominators the same? Nope. All right, so we have to get our fraction strips. So we have 1/2. We need to find 6. So you have 1/2, and we have to find 6. Now put them together so that they're the same on the left. Now, we know where 1/2 is. Let's see where 4/6 is. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4/6 goes to this line right here. Is it safe to say that 4/6 is greater than 1/2? Yes. So color in 4/6, C. So you should have A colored in and C colored in. B is not, so don't color in B. All right, let's look at D, 3/4. Okay, so 3/4. Okay, so is this sentence true? 3/4 is greater than 1/2. Well, are our numerators the same? Nope. Denominators the same? Nope. All right, so let's take a look at our fraction strips. So we need halves and we need fourths. Line them up so they're even. Now we know where the 1/2 is. Let's find 3/4. There's 1, 2, 3. 3/4 is here. Can we say 3/4 is greater than 1/2? Yes. So D should be colored in. Okay. E is 3/8. 3/8. So can I say 3/8 is greater than 1/2? Are our numerators the same? Nope. Denominators? Nope. Okay, so we need our fraction strips again. So we need halves and we need eighths. Okay, so put your halves and your eighths together. And here's 1/2 and we need 3/8. So count 3/8. 1, 2, 3. So here's where 3/8 stops. Can I say that 3/8 is greater than 1/2? No, so that one doesn't count. So don't color in E. All right, and the last one is 2/6. 2/6. Can I say 2/6 is greater than 1/2? Numerators the same. Denominators, need our fraction strips again. All right, so I need halves and I need 6. Okay. Make sure they're lined up and they're even on the side. All right, we know where 1/2 is. Let's find 2/6. 1, 2. Can I say 2/6 is greater than 1/2? No. Okay, so don't color in F. So you should have colored in A, C, and D. Okay? Now, that took a lot of work, but you got to do that sometimes. You have to be able to compare your fractions. Sometimes we're going to need to use our fraction strips. Sometimes we can do them in our head. All right, let's go to number 14. There are 12 people having lunch. Each person wants 1/3 of a sub sandwich. How many whole sub sandwiches are needed? Okay, we're not going to worry about the models for right now. Okay, now remember we have a total of 12 people and each person wants 1/3 of the sandwich. So what could I do that we've done in the past to answer this question? Well, I can do 1/3 of 12. 1/3 of 12. Remember doing these? Okay, remember I got to take my whole number and I have to divide it by my denominator. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then I have to take that number and times it by my numerator. 4 times 1 is 4. So I need 4 subs. So 4 subs. So you should have written here 1/3 of 12 equals 4 subs. So they would need this sub, this sub, this sub, and this sub. So cross these two off and circle the 4 subs. Okay? All right, let's go to number 15. Mavis mixed 2/4 quart of apple juice with 1/2 quart of cranberry juice. Compare the fractions. Choose the symbol that makes the statement true. So is 2/4 less than 1/2, 2/4 equal to 1/2, or 2/4 greater than 1/2? Well, look at my numerators. Are they the same? Denominators? Nope. So we need our fraction strips. Okay? So fraction strips, we need halves and we need fourths. Okay? Now we have to think about 2/4 first. So 2/4 is here and 1/2 is here. What are they? They're equal. Good job. So circle the equal sign. Excellent work. Number 16. Pat has 3 pieces of fabric that measure 3/6, 5/6, and 2/6 yards long. Write the lengths in order from least to greatest. We'll take a look at them. Are their numerators the same? Denominators? Yes, this is the easy one. So put them in order from least to greatest. I'll give you a couple seconds to do that on your own. Okay. So you should have found that 2/6 was the least, then comes 3/6, and then 5/6. So this is how you should have them, from least to greatest. Remember, denominators are the same, just go in order of the numerators then, whichever order they want. In this case, least to greatest. Okay? The hard one is if the numerators are the same and you got to do the denominators. That's the tough one. All right, so that's number 16. Let's go to page 556 and work on this page, and then we'll be done. All right, 17. Cora measures the heights of 3 plants. Draw a line to match each height on the left to the word on the right that describes its place in the order of heights. All right, so we have 4/6, 4/4, and 4/8. And we have least, between, and greatest. Now, if you look here, are their numerators the same? Yeah, so this is the difficult one. So we have to look at our denominators, okay? So we have 4/6. Here, let me make it easier if I write these down. So we have 4/6. We have 4/4. And we have 4/8. Okay, so let's take a look at these. One of these I can pick out really quickly, okay? 4/4. What does 4/4 equal? It equals 1, right? 1 whole. 4/8, is that greater than 1 whole? No. How about 4/6, is that greater than 1 whole? No. So this one's got to be your greatest. So go ahead and draw 4/4 foot. Draw a line from that to the greatest. So now I just got to figure out which one of these is the least. We found the greatest. We got to find the least. So 4/6 and 4/8. Well, remember what we talked about. Sixths and eighths. Remember, the higher the number, the smaller the piece. So which one's going to be smaller, sixths or eighths? Eighths is going to be smaller. So this is going to be your smaller one. Okay, so this is going to be, well, I guess I should have used least. This is going to be least. So draw a line from 4/8 to least, and this one's going to be between. So this will be between this one and this one. So this is your greatest, your between, and your least. Okay? All right, so draw your lines to the spots that they need to be drawn to. All right, let's take a look at number 18. Danielle drew a model to show equivalent fractions. Okay, let's look at this model here. Use the model to complete the number sentence. So 1/2. So when she drew 1/2, I guess it might be easier if I draw it on my board. So give me a couple seconds here. I'll draw it on my board. Okay, so they have a big rectangle. And they have this colored in. Okay. So if I'm just going to look at 1/2, that's what I'm going to look at. Okay. So if I look there, I have 1/2 of my rectangle shaded in. Now, let's take a look at the shaded part. We want to find 2 more fractions that are equivalent to 1/2. Let me get a different color marker so I can show you what they showed you. All right, so if I take my red marker and I'm going to break it into fourths. See my fourths? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I broke it into fourths. Now, how many of my fourths are shaded in? 1, 2. So 1/2 is equal to 2/4, right? Okay. Now we got to find one more. We got to find one more. Well, if I break it again, break these halves or these pieces into halves, let's do that. So if I break that one, and I break that one, and I break that one, and I break that one, now how many pieces do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have eighths. How many are shaded in those eighths? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is just what we did when we did our paper. Remember, we folded our paper and we colored each piece. So 1/2 equals 2/4 equals 4/8. Okay, and remember, what if I didn't have that piece or that picture, that model to help me? I could do what? I could multiply my numerator and my denominator, right, by the same number. Remember, it always has to be the same number. So if I did 1 times 2, that gives me 2, right? But if I multiply my numerator by 2, I got to multiply my denominator by 2 as well. And that equals 4, 2/4. Look, that's what we got down here. What if I do the same thing and I multiply it by 2 again? So 2 times 2 would be 4, and 4 times 2 would be 8. Yeah. Okay? So I can do that without even doing a model as long as I multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Okay? All right, so that's number 18. Let's take a look at number 19. Erase my board here. Floyd caught a fish that weighed 2/3 pound. Kira caught a fish that weighed 7/8 pound. Whose fish weighed more? Well, we have to compare, right? So we have 2/3, and that is Floyd. We'll just put an F up there, right? 2/3 Floyd. So I want you to write this on your paper there. You have a couple lines there. 2/3, and 7/8 is Kira's. Okay, are our numerators the same? How about our denominators? All right, fraction strips. So So I need thirds and I need eighths. So thirds and eighths. Okay, make sure they're even. And we have 2/3. So 1, 2, there's my 2/3. And we have 7/8. Let me hold it this way. So there's my 2/3 line right there. 7/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goes to this line. So now we got to pay attention to how we wrote this out. We said 2/3 is blank to 7/8. So 2/3 is less than, greater than, or equal to 7/8. 2/3 is less than 7/8. Good. So draw your line, your less than sign. So 2/3 is less than 7/8. So this is what you should have. Now, whose fish weighed more? Which one is more? 7/8. So on your line, write Kira's fish weighed more. Kira's fish weighed more. And that's a D. Sorry, it's a little sloppy. Kira's fish weighed more. Okay. All right, last one. Number 20. Sam went for a ride on a sailboat that lasted 3/4 of an hour. Write an equivalent fraction to 3/4. So we need something that's equal. Remember what we talked about up here. We do have a model, so we can look at our model. So 3/4. So here's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and then there's my fourth one. So out of those, there's one that's colored in, 2, 3. That's where they're getting 3/4. Now look at these littler ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they also broke it into eighths. But how many of those eighths are shaded in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6/8. So 3/4 is equal to 6/8. Okay, so that's what I want you to write. Well, you can just write 6/8 on the line there. Okay, so 3/4 is equal to 6/8. All right. And just like I showed you in the last one, if we didn't have the model and I wanted to find an equivalent fraction to 3/4, all I have to do is multiply the denominator and the numerator by the same number. So if I just pick 2, 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8. Imagine that. As long as you do the same thing to the numerator as you're doing to the denominator. They both have to have the same thing done to them. Otherwise, it won't work. All right, guys, so that's it. Test is tomorrow. Chapter 9 test on fractions. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.